Hey guys, welcome to Tuesday at Two Lines. I apologize for being late tonight. Been driving back from Tennessee. Spent a couple days on the trail. Hiked up to Mount LeConte. Stayed at the lodge up top. It's an annual pilgrimage that I do with some buddies of mine. We have a great time, a lot of fun, and but each year the trip gets a little more complicated. Because I get a little older. But I didn't die. All was well. Hiked up a trail called the Boulevard, which means that I've hiked all of the trails up and down, maybe not down. But I've hit all of the trails that go up to the top of the mountain. So but this one was the second time I've done the Boulevard. It's a beautiful trail. It's about a little over 8 miles to the top, and it was a lot of fun. But my legs are telling me that I hiked, close to, 15, 18 miles total. I don't know. I'd have to look at my watch, but over the last couple of days. And I'm not a skinny guy, so my legs are telling me that. So anyway. Yes, I survived, Chris. Guys, thanks for joining. We'll jump right in tonight, but I see that there's a bunch of people out there. And so just welcome to Fingers, Wild Man, Dusty, Rob from De Leon, Grandson of Man, Eric Tucker. Ben says we are planning a running a big race there end of October. I think you are referring to Cloverleaf. And so we'll talk about our race experience this past weekend and how we got our butts kicked. But it was fun and we enjoyed it. And we will definitely be back, and we learned a lot. So I'll kind of break that down, what I think I learned. So we'll jump into that real quick. So Eric Tucker, Wild Man, Salkar, Wild Man, Chris Freder, Gladstone, Bud Slots, Greg. Greg is one fast dude on the track. I have to tell you guys, he was fast, impressive. So Greg, finally glad we got to meet. We definitely have to meet up again. What I would love to do is maybe meet up at Butch's track again and spend some time showing us what we did wrong on some of our tuning. So maybe you don't want to share speed secrets, and that's okay. But I think that our lack of experience on a wood track and all of our experience being on a plastic Carrera track put our cars at a little bit of a disadvantage. But it was okay. I love learning things. I definitely am not as frustrated as I was coming off of the endurance race at Butch's track, where I broke Greg's car. But yeah, we'll jump into that a little bit. Dealbreaker Jones, new to the hobby, need advice on how to not buy every cool car I see. Dealbreaker Jones, I have bad news for you. It's hard not to buy every cool car that you see. That's one big problem here's the thing. Slot cars can be a very manageable hobby. The point of entry is pretty inexpensive. So you show up to somebody's track and it's a Carrera Digital. $65, you can be in a Carrera Digital car, a little bit of tuning, go have a lot of fun, and really easy to enter. It's when you get deep into the hobby, when you start spending money, when you can't deny really cool cars that come out, and you end up buying cars. So I have bad news to you. I have no advice on how to prevent that, but I will tell you that it's a fun hobby, and there's a lot of guys in the chat that enjoy it as well. So, hey, DNA, welcome. Good to have you. Patrick, welcome. Made it. Thank you, YouTube. Yeah, Dusty, that's right. We can't help you there. Mountain Man Marty, John Mark Hall, we survived, buddy. I really enjoyed hiking with you this weekend. Thanks for the invite, as always. Gladstone, time is undefeated. That is for sure. And Rust never sleeps. Those are two things you can be sure of. You're not really. Greg, whatever. Jay Bond. Hey, Marty, sorry it's been a while. Wanted to let you know I've got my OmniSlot box in, so looking forward to analog. What car purchase would you recommend first? Jay, there's lots of opinions on what car recommendation. I don't know, Jay, I don't know anything about your track layout. So some of the cars that I would choose would really depend on what your layout looks like. But if you're wanting to jump into some really good analog cars, there's a lot of great cars out there. So first of all, I would buy something that you love. So if you love Can-Am cars, buy a Can-Am car. If you love GT cars, buy a GT car. If you love VW buses, buy a VW bus. Because if you love the car that you buy, then you will want to put laps on it. You'll want to make it go faster and better and perform better. So I think that that's just a great rule of thumb. Now, some of the brands, if you don't do a lot of tuning, there are some brands that are a little better than others. So if you don't know how to do any tuning at all, I would probably stick to a brand like maybe RevoSlot, where pretty much every RevoSlot that I've had, which is just a couple, you throw on the track and they perform really well right out of the box. Slot It, NSR, Thunderslot. Thunderslot's a car that I don't think takes a lot of tuning to go fast, but it takes some tuning to go really fast. If you're going to run magnets and analog, really you can get just about anything. You can buy some cheap slot cars from Ninko or Fly, some cheaper Flies, and they'll perform okay if you keep the magnet in it. But if you're running no magnet, then some of those other brands. One of the fastest cars I've ever driven that handled amazing was a Sideways that Butch prepared this past weekend. And I'm like, I wish my Sideways car ran that good. That car was unbelievable to drive. It was fantastic. So there's lots of great slot car companies out there, lots of great cars. Jay, just buy what you love. But if you want more detail, send me a message. I'd be happy to talk to you about it. And if there's a certain type of car you'd like and you would like to know what brand to buy that in, let me know. I can help you out there. But it's fun. Just no matter what you get, you'll enjoy it. You'll have fun. Who else is out there? Hey, Gary, welcome. Let's jump in. Let me talk a little bit about It's a Fluke. I was fast. I'll share everything. Yeah, you just keep telling us that, Greg. Dusty and I know. Dusty, dude, you've got some screaming cars. That's right. Cars are quick. And I love how smooth they are. I've talked about this on the live stream. I am a fan of very smooth, quiet cars. I just think that it's obvious that somebody has taken great care to put that car together if it's that quiet and smooth, and they know what they're doing when they're tuning. That's what's really pretty cool about that. And there was a lot of really well-tuned cars. So let's talk about this past weekend. If I did not give you a shout-out in the list, I apologize. I feel like I waste a lot of the time at the beginning of a live stream just saying hi to people, and I think we just want to jump into the slot car. So if I missed you, I apologize. I appreciate you guys being here. This is fun. Pat, my Thunderslot is my fastest car, and it's the easiest to tune. Yep, that's a good. Steve, we will drivers for the NSR 8-hour enduro. Steve, I don't know that you'd want me on that team, bro. I'm not that fast. What if you love all the cars, Marty? Yeah, DNA, that's the problem we all have, right? We love all of them. Hey, Curvy, welcome. Good to have you. So let's talk about this weekend. We ran two classes. We ran vintage class, which pretty much was a bunch of old Can-Am style cars. We had GT40s, which Greg's GT40 was quick and quiet. When I was marshaling the track, I couldn't even hear that car go by. I saw it go by, but I could not hear it. It was so smooth, man. So we had GT40s, we had Thunderslot, M6As, we had McLarens, we had sideways cars, we had what else did we have in the vintage? There was a good variety of cars. And there were 13, 14 drivers. And we split them up into 2 heats. The first heat was a bunch of guys that do not have a lot of laps on the track. So Butch put us newbies on the wood track in one heat. And then the guys that have been racing there for a long time, he put all of those guys in another heat. And so each heat consisted of, you ran 5 minutes in each lane, all 6 lanes on this track. And last week in the live stream, I showed a picture of the track. It was so chaotic during race time for me, just worried about whether my car was going to perform, whether I could stay in the slot, all those things, that I took no video. I really just was trying to focus and trying to figure out how to make my car perform well. We didn't get there till almost 10 o'clock. The race started at 11:30. We started a half an hour early, which was fine, but like I felt like we were testing our cars, getting some practice laps in, but I really felt like I needed to do some adjusting to my car, and I didn't really have time to make that happen. So Butch has invited us to come back, and 17 in vintage, 16 in GT. Thanks, Dusty. I couldn't remember the exact number. And so all that to say is we were all at the bottom of the barrel. We did not perform great. I came out of the slot way too many times, mainly because the setup on my car was a little off. I raced the M6A. I tried the P68. The P68 was not performing well. I was not getting any traction with that car. And so I moved on quickly to the M6A. It was running better. It was fast. But the one thing about that car is I really struggled to keep the nose in the slot. So anytime I upset the car in any way, it came out of the slot. So I had a lot of offs. I think Steve, our buddy Steve, won our heat. I don't know if Steve's in here tonight, but Steve Holzman, he finished first in that heat with about, I can't remember the lap count. I have pictures of it, but that's not really important. And I think that I was about 13 laps off, 12 and a half laps off of his pace, and I was third in that heat. So we were way behind. And then Dusty and John Mark were right behind me in lap count, and we were all kind of right there together, struggling with the same thing. And so we'll start with the tuning there. So that was race 1. Race 2 was a GT race, and none of us really had a car prepped for the GT race. I ended up racing one of Butch's, which was the smartest decision I've made in a long time, but it really probably wasn't fair to the rest of the people in the class, in the heat, because Dusty ran his car we thought we had set up pretty well for the track, and John Mark ended up running one of Daryl's cars because his cars were struggling, and it was all about the way I set the front end up. Not that I didn't set it up for the wood track. I thought I was just no way to test it from home, right? So that's what we were running into. So going back to the vintage race, I think what I missed on the tune-up is I think we ran a little too much body float and a little too much float in the pod on that wood track. Now, this is just my guesses, because I picked up a couple of cars when I was marshaling, and I noticed that the front tires were a little lower to get that guide deeper in the slot. And I realized that some guys were doing had a lot more tape on the underneath of their car on the chassis to limit the movement. And then I felt like a couple of cars I picked up had no body float at all, or just very, very little. And Greg, you might be able to add to that, but I think that yeah, Greg, I agree. I think it's really close. I mean, it had the speed. So, guys, going back to my video, the 25K motor, the new Predator 25K ball bearing motor, fantastic. It was really quick on the track. I was super happy with how it performed from a motor standpoint. But I think that my chassis was off, like I said, and that's what was causing so many offs. And I would get in a good rhythm and stay in the slot for 3 or 4 laps, and then I would, if I would just overdrive into a turn just slightly and miss my braking point, there was no mercy. And so I think a car that's really set up, if you do make a mistake, then the car can recover for you if you know how to drive it. And I can do that with that McLaren, that Thunderslot McLaren on this track. I can overdrive it into a turn, and it stays in the slot because I know how to drive it, one, and two, it's set up for this track. And so those are the things that I think I need to change. I need to change that front end setup, and I think I need to tighten the chassis up a little bit. And with about a minute and a half, you barely have time to clean your tires. So once a race starts, you're kind of stuck. There's no adjustment to those cars. They just didn't have time. And I loved how we ran the race because you kind of knew exactly when it was going to start and when it was going to finish, because they ran a really tight race. And I really appreciated Butch and Daryl did an awesome job of managing those races, and it was good stuff. NSR vintage cars have gone to no tape in the last few weeks. That's interesting. Everybody keeps trying new things, right? That's really pretty cool. Hey, Reese, welcome. Hey, Mark, good to have you. We're just kind of downloading what we were talking about this past weekend when we went racing. Hey, Scott, what's going on, man? Hope you're doing well. Hope we run into each other soon at Cincy Slots. That's what let's see. On your setup block, use the flush side on the block and set the tires 1/32 off the block for the guide depth of Butch's track. Yeah, I think we were just a bit high. And one of the guys, Vince, I think, looked at Dusty's car, or maybe it was John Mark's car, and touched the front, and he spun around. He's like, well, that's why you guys can't stay in the slot. Your front ends aren't tuned properly. And I was like, yeah, that would have been good to know about 25 minutes ago. But yeah, but that's all part of it, right? Like, that's what I've enjoyed about, I wasn't frustrated like I was with the endurance race. The endurance race, there was a lot of things going against me. No laps on that track, in the dark, a car that I'm not familiar with, a car that was fast, and I had no business driving. And I left really frustrated. But I told you guys I wasn't going to give up. We were going to go back. We were going to try to do better. We were going to learn things, and we did. We went back. Car was set up better than it was the first time I went. But it just wasn't exactly right. And it just has to do with time. The key to learning to tune cars, the key to being fast on a track, on any particular track, it goes back to my buddy George, what he says all the time. You have to tune your car for your particular track. And I can tune my car for this track. But Butch's track, I just don't have enough laps in. I don't know what it takes to make the chassis right. I don't know how the car reacts when you throw tape across the chassis. There were some cars that had tape over the entire bottom of the car. I mean, they had the pod and the chassis was just kind of locked up with tape. And so I was like, wow, I have no tape on my car. You guys have a bunch of tape. maybe that's the next thing I need to do. I don't know. So I think figuring those pieces out, having a great tune day with people like Greg and Butch and Daryl, just kind of helping us wrench through those, because I think everybody that was there on Saturday wanted competitive races. People marshaling, they don't want to pick cars up all the time. They want to see them in the slot. I think everyone there wanted to see everyone do really well. Everyone have competitive races. And so like that's the fun of it for me. And that's why, even though we didn't do great, I finished 8th or 9th in the one race and 7th or 8th in the other. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. But I felt like every lap I was improving because I was learning that track. And then when you drive a car that has been tuned specifically for that track by somebody who knows that track inside and out, it's a whole different story. Because the second heat, it was pretty much the same guys, and I was super competitive. Steve still beat me out because the first half of the first race, I was trying to figure out my controller with this new car from Butch. But once I settled in, man, I won a few of the races. I was putting in some quality laps. And the one thing that I'm proud of, and Greg can confirm this, at the end of that heat, I owned the lap record on every lane, all 6 lanes. And that tells you how good Butch's car was. That even this dork could drive that thing fast around the track. And so I may not have gotten, I lost about 5 laps on the first race, and I made up over the next 5 races about 3.5 of those laps. So, and Steve was fast. He does a great job. He stays in the slot. He's got his cars tuned. And I was hunting him down. I ran out of time. But I was running some fast laps. Really, that was the piece for me that told me that I was improving. Every lap, I was learning that track. I was learning where I needed to brake, and I knew where I could push the car. And so by the end, I really was doing well. And so like that's the key. Improvement each time, right? So that's what I'm shooting for. So outside of let's see. Let me check the comments. Sorry guys, I'm trying to keep up with everything tonight. And get some. Thanks, Peter. I appreciate that. Bob L, what does the tape do? So, Bob, this car has a little bit of tape on it. A couple of things. If you're driving your car around the track and you can hear the chassis chatter, throw a little piece of tape across it. I use strapping tape, but there's a really high-quality electrical tape that'll stick really well on the bottom of a car. Other guys use other tape. Some guys use like the Gorilla tape. That's like duct tape. Some guys use that. The problem with duct tape, it gets sticky over time. The strapping tape doesn't do that quite as bad. But what it will do is it will still allow the motor pod to move, but it acts sort of like a cushion or even like suspension, where it softens that and it slows the chassis from not immediately reacting, but to like kind of roll into a turn, and it'll soften that motor pod movement. And so that's the purpose of tape. It'll just soften that up. So if you've got a car that is chattering a little bit from the chassis going around the track, or maybe just goes into a turn and kind of slams into the turn, a little bit of tape will soften that up and give you some improvement. Question, Curvy Road. So I hope that if anybody has anything to add about the tape, that would be great. So, Pat, Marty, you need to go on a non-race day and find your sweet spot with your tuned car. Patrick, yep, that's the plan. Butch immediately sent me an email and said, hey, I want you guys to get better on the track, so let's schedule something, and just the three of you guys can come down, and we'll just tune cars all day. And so we're gonna make that happen. I don't know when that will happen, but that's the plan. So yeah, the question Kirby had: how did your controller do? Kirby, my controller did awesome, because I was able, once I figured out what I needed to do for the track, I could just dial in that car. I felt really good about the controller. Here's the funny thing. My brother, Dusty, has the slotted SPC2, and he loves that controller, but we had kind of a mix-up, and he blew a fuse in it, and he had to use somebody else's controller. He used Daryl's controller, and he started doing faster times with Daryl's controller and driving better immediately. And so I think that he missed what I love about the DeFalco controller, is that you have a little bit of resistance in that trigger, that with the wiper, and it just gives you a nice feel for the car on the track, and you can feel when the car is doing things. And I miss that. I love the slotted controller because it has so many settings, but I think that it can sometimes be a little overwhelming as well, and I just don't have the feel. And so I think that that's one thing that we did discover. So yes, controller, thumbs up. I recommend it. I love it. Greg, here is a good saying on setting up a car I heard from a great driver from Slot Car Corner. All the little things make something. Yeah. Yeah, so a quarter of an adjustment on this screw on the motor pod, everything has an impact on what happens with the slot car. And so small changes, one change at a time, great way to test a car. That's a great saying. You need to try the tape trick on my hearing aids. That's good. Peter, any good how-tos on guide setup out there? I mean, the only how-to I have, right off the bat, is to have a setup block. Whether you make your own or you buy one, you want a setup block. And I mean, you could even use one of these bases as a setup block. It's flat. It's got a place for the guide to drop down. That can be a setup block. It doesn't have to be anything fancy, but you have to be able to set the car in the slot and get an idea. Well, that's not a, to use that one, I would have to cut those little fins off because it doesn't let the, where is my setup block? Setup block, hang on. So simple setup block. Here's one. I believe Butch made this, and it even has a wood track, but that one was too deep. That's what I found out. So with a setup block, throw the car on it, and you can see where the front end is. And kind of the rule of thumb is you want the guide to go all the way down as deep as it can go. And then you just want those front tires to just barely hit the surface. And so on the plastic track, it's perfect. Not this one. This one has not been set up yet. But on the wood track, we were about probably a 30-second or a couple, maybe a 16th off. I don't know. I'd have to go measure, but we were off enough that the car would upset pretty easy. So Peter, there are lots of videos out there for guide setup. I've done a couple in some of my tuning videos, but there's lots of information out there. Let's see here. In short, front the bare chassis to a complete build. Every little thing adds the speed and grip of a car. Let's see. So I hope I'm not opening the proverbial can of worms here, but I need some recommendations for analog cars for both Group C and Group 5. Not opening up a can of worms. So, Scott, there's a lot of options out there for Group C. Slotted is the company for the Cincy Slots Group C cars. And they're all really close. So, but I would go with one that you love the body, but I will tell you that the Nissan, the new Nissan that Slotted has, was the world champion or the USA champion this year. Most of the guys on the track in the finals were in the Nissan. There was one 962 Porsche, the Fat Turbo. Steve and I were talking about how much we love our Fat Turbo cars, which is a new Slotted release for Group C. So I would stay in that Nissan, the 962, what else? I think the Toyota is a good one as well, but certain ones perform differently on certain tracks. They all have a little different triangle. That triangle from the rear tires to the front guide. That distance is important. It depends on the track. So, and then Group 5 cars. What we run at Cincy Slots are the sideways cars, and the ones that I've seen that are really fast. The Toyota Celica is a quick car. The Nissan Skyline is a quick car. What else? The Porsche 935s are really good. Really, any of them you like. The Zac Speed, the Capris are really pretty good. Most of those cars run very similar. The M1s, I have a sideways M1 that I can't seem to get right. I've tuned it and tuned it and tuned it, and other people have tuned it, and it's just kind of all over the place. But I have a Skyline that is really pretty quick. So that's a good place to start for those. You don't know the racing years and slot car manufacturers enough to really know where to look for a good tunable car. So yes, Group 5, track down a good sideways car that you like, and then with the Group C, the slotted Group C cars, just look and see what you like in those, and you should be good. So hopefully that helps, Scott. Yep. Curvy, you're right. Peter, Area 51, and Home Racing World have some awesome videos on setup on the front end. Slotted Group Cs are a go-to for that class. The Porsche 962s and 956s are great to begin with. Yeah, the Porsche 962 and 956s they're very close. The chassis are pretty much identical, I think. But let me pull mine out. So here's the 962. That's a little longer tail. And then here is a 962 that is a shorter tail. You can see the difference just in the body. And this was my quick car originally for Group C. And I broke the chassis. And the new chassis is close, but I've never been able to get it just as quick as I did before with the broken chassis, which is kind of funny. This one, off the bat, was pretty slow, and I was a little disappointed. And I set it on the shelf for a couple weeks, and I came back to it, and it has gotten faster and faster, and it's probably my favorite Group C car right now. This car, I love it. But it's quick and performs really well on this track. The little shorter tail, I mean, you wouldn't think that would mean a whole lot, but the shorter tail does seem to have an impact on how tail happy that car is. So, Scott, I hope that helps you. They're easy to tune. Yes, those slotted cars are pretty easy to tune. So, Bob, do you just tape the motor area? So, you'll want to tape. Neither of these cars have tape. Well, you'll want to tape the pod, and you see how I've got that across the pod. I usually put the tape across the front of the pod, and that tends to work best for me and on this track, but you might have to move it around just to see. Speaking as a hobbyist with Carrera Digital 132 cars on a Carrera layout, the prospect of tuning performance cars seems daunting. Not much tuning for Carrera outside of lubrication, trimming wheels and tires. I tried body float, but the performance suffered. I probably didn't do it correctly, just my own personal observations. So, Thomas, I think that Carrera cars, they are a little tough to tune. You're doing all the right things that you should do to a Carrera car. I've had success with float, but a little goes a long way. You can go a little too far with float, so you just kind of want to do some testing, quarter turn, do some more testing, and see if you can find the sweet spot for that. Tuning these cars is not a daunting task. Mostly it's just getting the front end set up properly and the guide height right, and doing the basic baseline tuning, lubrication, brake in the motor. Those things are all important. So it's not daunting. There's tons of videos out there to help you walk through that. So let's see here. Yep, Carrera cars are not good cars for body float due to the chassis of the cars. Yep. A lot of times float won't help, or you have to do a lot of shaving of the chassis to get enough space between the body and the chassis to make float even happen. So it just depends on the car. So Dusty is ordering a new one this week, but I don't want to clear. I don't want the clear handle. Yeah, Dusty, what you do is you'll have to call Slot Car Corner or Cloverleaf. Check with them. They have DeFalcos in stock. Call them, and they'll tell you what color handles they have. Yeah, you probably want to go with a different color just because mine is the clear handle. But they have some options. And if you're picky about what you want, then order it straight from Jim at DeFalco. It just will take you probably 10 to 14 days or so to get it. So if you're not in a huge hurry, that is a way to go around it too. How's Group 5? Anyone? Sideways, my Group 5 cars. So here are my two Group 5 cars. I have the Nissan and the Pennzoil. This is my car. It's quick. I love it. This is a great-looking car, the M1 BMW, but I can't get this thing to go around the track to save my life. It is tail happy. It's a mess. So it still needs work. But so those are my two. Let me see if we got anybody else. This is the Ferrari sideways. These are all sideways cars. That's one of John Mark's. John Mark also has the Lancia, and that's his go-to car. He also has a car that we haven't tuned and opened up yet, and it's the Castrol livery on the Nissan. These Nissans seem to be pretty good cars. So sideways, Group 5. Now Carrera makes a lot of Group 5 cars as well. So you have an option there, but I will tell you that the Carrera cars will, if you race the Carrera Group 5 in the analog Group 5 class, they won't keep up with the sideways cars. So I would go sideways on that. Pat, thanks for the review on the DeFalco. I got one and used it last Thursday, made a big difference. Yeah, Pat, once you get those settings dialed in, it really is an easy controller to get dialed in, and it really does make a big difference. Is Dusty going to get a new controller? It sounds like he is leaning that way. Hey, Dave Kennedy, welcome, man. Dave, just been talking about my experience racing on the wood track. Looks like you're getting ready to fire up your wood track again, which is awesome to hear. And then we've just been talking about Group C and Group 5 cars coming up for some race classes, what people were recommending. So that's what we're into tonight. Dusty says, yes, Daryl, have to figure out how to get one with a different handle. Yeah, let me know, Dust. I can help you with that. Gene, hey, guys. I never knew Marty went live. Sorry about that, Gene. I'm a little late tonight. I didn't start till 9. I went on a hike, and it took a while to get home, driving back from Tennessee. So I pulled in the parking lot or pulled in the driveway and jumped online. So I was a little late. Probably not retire it. Thanks, Dave. Appreciate that. By the way, thanks for answering my question. Yeah, Bob, anytime. If you have any more questions, that's what this live stream's about. I love, it's a great community of people that have a lot of knowledge. And what I don't know, and I don't know, there's a lot that I don't know. But what I don't know, we can usually find an answer in the live chat, and that's what is wonderful about this. Yeah, it's because I created it late, so that's why you didn't get it. Yeah, Mark, you're right. Group 5, the sideways, racer sideways, they have lots to choose from. Lots of different liveries, lots of different cars, and they can get a lot of tunability in those cars. So hopefully that helps. Looks like I got a new car. Yeah, I think I did get a new car. We're about ready to move to that. Ugh, not thunder slots. What was that? I'm not sure. I missed that. Yep. Thunderslot does not make Group C cars. No, they really focus on the old Can-Am, the old vintage cars. That's what they make. And I think it's interesting that that's the route they go. But then now they open that up, and now they make the Mustangs. And these are great cars. They're quick. They're fast. They have a very interesting chassis. I broke mine, so I've got to do some repair to mine. But I really like those cars. But they do not make Group 5 cars. They do not make Group C cars. Would they make great ones? I'm sure they would, because I love Thunderslots. But really, that's when you go Group C, 1/32 scale, Slot It is your company. And then Group 5 sideways is really the way to go for those. So let's see. They might all be different, but that is the fun of it, right? Yeah, that is the fun of it. What else? Hey, John, welcome. You didn't miss much, John. Just slot car chalk. Yeah, anytime. Scott, just call me if you need anything. You might not have my phone number, but you can send me a message online. Happy to help. Let's see here. Hey, DG Raceway, welcome. We found that the high-tail 956 isn't as fast as the low-tail cars. Dave, that's kind of what I really like this car, and it is a touch quicker than that car. They're close, but I'm about a tenth and a half, almost 2/10 faster in the fat turbo. So really, really liking that one. Let's see. The LHs are even longer. Yep. Let's see. A 950 Hightail finished in the top 6 cars of Electric Dream slot at Nationals this year. Yeah, Greg, it was this model, I think, but it wasn't a Hexcel. I think it was a hand-painted. They had repainted it. But, yeah, it made it to the finals, and the rest of them were Nissans. Excuse me. Tail length depends on the track. Yep. This shorter tail seems to perform a little better on my layout. Tad, Marty the mountain climber. I was for the last couple days, but we kind of rolled down. I fell on the way coming down. Kind of like I tripped on a root, and it kind of caught my foot, and so I leaned forward, and my pack weight got over top of me, and it put me straight to the ground. And when I hit the ground, my water bottle shot out. My favorite Nalgene bottle shot out of my pack like it was shot out of a cannon, and went down this huge ravine. And we were like, "Yeah, it's going to stay down there. I'm not going down there to try to get a water bottle." So, but we didn't die. So that was the goal. Let's see here. Interesting hockey tape. I was told that body float doesn't really help unless you remove the magnets. Pat, yeah, I mean, I think that magnets hide a lot of sins. Let's just put it that way. So if you're running magnet cars, yeah, a lot of the tuning things that we do for non-magnet cars might not help them because the magnets do a lot of work, and so body float and things like that really don't have an impact because the magnet is doing most of the work. That's just my opinion, but let's see. Marty, for the M1, put side-to-side float in the front axle. I probably could use to do that. It is a little tight. It rolls, it spins easy, Dave. But I will try that. Thanks. Yeah, this car has been weird. The first time I ran it ran great. And then it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And and then you start tuning things, and I just made it worse and not better. So it just does not like to stay in the slot. So I'll give it a shot. Thanks, Dave. A lot of tunings don't work without removing the magnets. Yep. Thunderslot will make another Can-Am car. I've seen a prototype, but they won't let anyone talk about it yet. It was shown in England when I was there 2 years ago. They are still keeping it under wraps. That's exciting, though. Dave, the Thunderslot cars really are great runners, and I really love them. So I'm a big fan. Let's see here. Show me slot cars. If you could go back and tell your beginner self one piece of advice, what would it be? Great question. Gosh, that's a great question. I would have to say, if I was going to give my beginner self some advice, I don't know. Gosh, I have to think about that one a second. Probably don't get frustrated. Like any hobby, there's an opportunity to get frustrated when things don't go your way, or you're not as fast as you hope you are, or then when you go to a track you've never been to and you don't perform well. It's super easy to get frustrated and then get disappointed. I mean, I get it, everybody wants to win if they race, but there's a learning process to everything. Very seldom does somebody jump on a track and they're the fastest guy. So I think if I was going to give myself any advice is to my beginner self is to, when I jumped into racing, don't take yourself too serious. Remember to have fun. That's why we all do this hobby. I'm sure there are some other some other things that I would recommend doing, but that's one of them. Is I'm a competitive person. I love to compete. I think it's fun. Those who have competed with me know that I really do try to have fun and enjoy, like, when it's happening, but like I can dwell on things if I don't do well and get frustrated. So that's what I would tell myself. Wants more Thunder Slots to make more muscle cars. Yeah, Dave, I think you're right. I think the way they set that chassis up is there'll be some great new cars coming from them down the road. That's why the Mustang chassis is a generic chassis. Yep, great. I say that the high confidence it will happen. Thanks for the friendly welcome. Happy to see everyone chiming in and giving me lots to think about. I'll have to watch the rest of this tomorrow. Good night, Deal Breaker. Thanks for being here tonight. $1 million question. What will the next Thunder Slot be? Are we taking bets yet? On the generic chassis, I think that they'll do like a Camaro. I think they'll do some of those, that era, the Trans Am era cars, maybe. That might be fun. I don't know. There's a lot that can happen. Yeah, the fingers. That would be a bigger bankroll. Have a larger budget. If I tell my beginner self, will throw us a curveball like the Revo did with the 510. Yep, that would be pretty cool. Let's see. I like that. Have fun. Don't sweat the small stuff. Yeah, show me. Don't get upset. Like, I know, like, nobody wants to finish last, but sometimes that's where you got to start. That's how you learn to focus more, or like figure out what you're doing wrong and how can you improve and get faster with your car and learn to tune. And it takes you down this path and road if you want to improve. And those are all great things in the hobby. And even if you don't race, those things translate to your home track. All of a sudden you're experimenting with no magnet cars and you are learning to tune cars to go around your track really fast. And then you invite some people over to race and all of a sudden nobody can keep up with you. Like that's the progression, right? So that's the fun part of the hobby. The other part of the hobby for me, fun is taking a car that doesn't run well, and in the end, it's making pretty good laps. That's exciting stuff for me. That's what makes it fun. The fingers, the Mazda RX-7 color. I thought they are all the same shape. Let's see. It will be a Mopar. That's cool. Yep. The Thunder Slot CUDA would be great. And I thought, the CUDA is obviously a popular slot car. We see that with the SCX cars that were released, so I'm not surprised by that. Not to tell yourself you are going to go buy any more slot cars this year. Waste of breath. Yeah, that's good advice. No more slot cars. No more slot cars. Oh, wait. Revo Slot put out these cute little Group 2 cars. So anybody have any of these? So this is my first one. And when I open it up, I am a little disappointed, and I'll tell you why. Because I had big plans for this car. And it's going to take a little bit of work, but I still think I can make it work. But what I wanted to do was make this a digital car, chip it to run on the track. And I thought it would be a fun digital car to race. But I think it's going to take a little more work because it doesn't have the hole pre-drilled. So, but the Group 2, how many of you have? This is the Alpha in the number 36 Kent livery. And I didn't love this livery, but now that I've got it out of the box, it looks pretty sweet. I'm a sucker for red cars. I like red. My first car that I owned was red. My Fat Turbo is red. My NSR 31. It's one of my favorite slot cars. It's red. My first Revo slot is the red Ferrari back here. my Volkswagen Beetle that I restored is red. So I think this will be a fun car. I haven't put it on the track yet. I just pulled it out of the box, snapped a couple pictures on the track, but I think this thing's going to need a lot of tuning to get it where it needs to go around the track. So I don't like the braids, the guide. I think I want to swap it out for the wood track guide. That'll work a little better on the Carrera track. And obviously, I got to figure out the tires. We run silicone on our track here, and so we're hoping Super Tire releases some silicone track tires soon. But I did forget that a few months ago I threw a set of quick slicks in just in case I bought one of these. So I got this from Bruce at Cincy Slots. Took good care of me. And my brother Dusty got one of the Escorts, and John Mark got he got the Jägermeister BMW, I think. So really cool cars. But I haven't taken this apart yet. I haven't tried it on the track. I'm a little nervous to when I threw it on the tire cleaner, it didn't sound very good. So I think I've got some tuning ahead of me. Some of the Revos just have a notch in the chassis for a sensor. Okay. Well, let's see it run some laps, Marty. Remember, I went back to one of my videos a few months ago. It was like the top 5 reasons you should always tune a car, do a baseline tuning of a car before you put it on the track. I'm afraid that that's what I'm going to run into with this, is that it's not ready to put on the track yet. So, hey, Dave, thanks for tuning in, man. I appreciate you. Hope you're doing well. So thanks. I appreciate taking the time to hang with us tonight. So get some rest, bro. What Beetle did you restore? Did I miss that? Show me slots. I have a 1971 Beetle convertible that I restored. If we're friends on Facebook, I think I've got pictures of it out there. But yeah, I restored it for my daughter when she turned 16. My daughter Maddie. It will be her car one day when she has a place to keep it and is ready. She drives it every time she comes home. But it was just not a safe car to put a 16-year-old kid in, so it became Dad's play toy. Thanks, Dave. We appreciate you. So, I don't know. Does anybody else have any of these Group 2 cars? Do you have any recommendations, like baseline tuning that needs to happen with these? I don't know. This one just seems, when I threw power to it, it seemed to run pretty rough. So, I don't have the power set up yet. I drove a 71 Super Beetle for a long time. Bought it from my mom. Show me, that's what mine is. Mine's a 71 Super Beetle. But mine's a convertible. So, I'll try to post a picture of it on my Instagram account, maybe. It's a great car. I love it. So, yeah. I don't know. Let's tear this thing apart. See what it looks like on the inside. Take a look at this chassis, because this chassis is a little different. A little different than the normal Revoslot chassis. So let's take a look. See if I can pull the body off without taking all the screws off. I don't think so. Well, maybe. Can on one side. All right. Here we go. This is what I love about the Revoslots. How great does that look? That's fantastic. The gear is out of round on them, so it will take some break in to get it smooth. Okay. That's what it feels like to me, Daryl. When I spin it, it's not as smooth as a normal revoslot. And so, is it the spur gear that's not out of round? And this one looks like it came with the 9-tooth pinion. Some of them came with a 13-tooth pinion, I think, and a lot of people said that was the wrong pinion gear. Yeah, Dusty, Cloverleaf does have it in stock. If you call them, they'll tell you what color handles they have in stock, so you can actually get the color you want. I didn't know that, and I just ordered one, and they sent me what I got. And I ended up loving what I received, the clear handle with the red board, but they'll give you the options that they have in stock. So I would give them a call. So yeah, great. This is just a great car. Revoslot makes really great cars. Nice chassis. So I could do my baseline tuning. I don't love the braids, so let's fluff the braids up just a little bit. See if we can make them a little better than they are. Let's give them a little lube, and then maybe we'll throw it on the track. What do you say? Maybe. Interesting that the fronts are independents. That's really interesting. A little bit on the bearings, the motor. Let's get a little bit of grease. It's obvious that I haven't unpacked yet. I haven't unpacked from race day. So all my stuff is here. So let's grab the grease out. This could be bad, guys. I don't know if we want to do this or not. Or if we should do this or not. Maybe that's the better question to ask. A little bit of grease. So, Daryl, you're saying I'm going to have to do some work in on this, break in to get that to. Let's see. Show me. Yeah, John Albright would wear that shirt. Show me. Black and purple here. I put metal polish on the gears and ran at 3 volts for a half an hour and got it way smoother. Okay. Yeah. And since I've got it apart, I'm going to go ahead and take the rubber tires off and put the quick slicks on since I've got them. And then we'll run some laps and see what we do. This could be bad. First question is, what voltage should I run them at? 12 volts, 14 volts, 18 volts like Gary Dunmore, Raul. I don't think Raul's in the house tonight. I hate that I was hiking and I was up on the mountain with very little cell phone coverage, depending on which way the wind was blowing. And maybe I was going to try to at least tune in from there, but I couldn't bring up any YouTube videos. I couldn't bring up the live stream, so I missed last night. I hate that. I feel like I'm letting Raul and George down a little bit, so I feel bad. Okay. Let's throw on the track, guys, and see how bad this is. A little bit of lube. Make sure the gears are okay. And the braid. And let's go from there. I think that this will run 12-second laps. Let's see what we can do. All right, I'll move this out of the way so you guys can see. Yep, great advice, John. I'm doing the never should do it, but I'm doing it anyway. Wax the top of it first. Another trick I've seen is to set the car and hold a lighter under the gear. If it is nylon gear, just hit it with short touches. Quick fix that sometimes works for better mesh. That's cool, Greg. All right, here we go. This could be bad. So the braids still need a little work. The front end of that car is up out of the slot. There you go. Reason number 50 that you should never run a car without tuning it. What did I not check? What did I not check, fellas? I did not check to see how tight the spur gear is. So you guys are right. The car's very noisy, and it is totally the gear mesh is not great right now. So what we'll do is, instead of running any more laps, we'll put this thing to bed, and I will work on it this week, and then probably this weekend I'll do a video about setting this car up for the first time and go from there, because it's obvious that it's got some work. It needs some work. But so it was the motor that moved. I thought maybe it was the spur gear. But it is the motor in the motor mount is loose. So the motor mount screw is stripped. So I do have some work ahead of me. So the motor mount screw is stripped out. The head of it is stripped. So it's loose. And that's why the gear is slipping. Okay. Wait. What kind of screw is that? Okay. Anyway, let's move on. I'm wasting time. So, hey, George. Welcome. Good to have you. I apologize. I'm trying to figure out what's going on with this car. And I'm missing a tool that I need. This might be it. This might be it. There we go. I found it. So all of the motor mount screws were loose. Let's see if this fixes it. Okay, I have some braid problems as well. And I think it's just revoslots braids I don't really love. I don't really love revoslot braid. It's not getting good connection to the track. But it ran a lot smoother, if you notice that. So I think that we're getting closer. I think that I got the gear mesh pretty good. It was much quieter. So, but I feel like the motor is moving pretty easily. So, I think this will be a fun car. So, what our hope is to do a little bit of racing here on the track. Everybody have some of these cars. The front end is independent, and one of the things that we learned this weekend was that slot cars like that. They like to have the front tires move independently, so that it doesn't upset the car. And so a lot of guys have a lot of tricks on how to make that happen. The easiest would be just having one side fixed, the axle goes all the way through, and then drilling all the way through the front wheel, and then putting a bead of solder on the end of the axle so that the one wheel will turn independently of the other. And there's some fancier ways to do that. But yes, Curvy, it was much quieter. Chris, you might be right. It was made at 459. All the screws were loose. But here's the thing, like most of these brands, they expect you to not just throw it on the track. They expect you to do some tuning, right? But yeah, Curvy, much quieter. Fixing the gear mesh really was a big new one. So yes, George, this is a new one. I just picked this up. It's my first Revoslot Group 2 car. We picked it up on Saturday. Actually, Daryl picked up my order from Cincy Slots on Friday and brought it to us on Saturday at the race. So yeah, very cool. Gear lapping is another term for breaking them in to run smoothly. Yep, thanks, John, for answering that question. I must have missed the question. Was watching a movie with my wife, spending time with her. Good for you, George. That's what you should be doing instead of talking about crazy slot cars. Yeah, don't ever apologize, bro. Eric, you caught me. My OCD was kicking in for sure. That's why I'm like, I've got to put this down. Yep, John, I discovered that it was a Torex bit, and I have it. This is the gold is my Revo slot, mainly because I couldn't find there for a second, so I had to go find it. But Eric is laughing at me because my OCD was kicking in, and he called me out on it. I appreciate that. Thanks, Eric. Evening. Hey, Donald Barker. Still learning. Thanks for all the info. Trying to build my framework for George's midget invite. That's awesome. Donald, great job. I need to build one of these midgets too, so I need to talk to George about what I need. I think it looks fun. They look great, man. The one that George built is awesome. The one that Shotgun Dave built, holy cow, that car looks great. So these Group 2 cars are fun, George. Yeah, I think they look like it. Check to make sure the front axle blocks are properly aligned. Yeah, that's the thing with independent is you've got to look at that. They look like it, John, but I won't really know until I won't really know until I get it out on the track, I don't think. We'll see how it performs. So I'm probably not going to run it anymore. I need to do my tuning. I'm obsessing a little bit about it. So expect me to pay $100 for the car and spend time and money to get it to run well. Gotta love it. So Pat, no, not the expectation is not for you to spend more money on it. But Dave Kennedy talks about this a lot. Some of these high performance cars, like just throwing it out, Slot it, Thunder Slot, NSR, they just assemble the car, and then they put it in a box and they ship it out. And because of the type of car they are, the expectation is that it's going to somebody that can tune them. So they probably have a baseline that they set these things up, but they're not doing a full tune on them and sending them out. They're just assembling the cars, getting things lined up the way they're supposed to be lined up, making sure that the quality assurance is there. But sometimes things get missed. These are small companies building these cars, and sometimes there's just things that are off. Things happen in shipping. A lot of vibration and things can impact some of these cars. And so it's just a good thing to go over them and make sure that the gear mesh is good, that the tires are lined up, that all those little things are good on them so that you don't damage the car the first time you run it. If I would have gone too far, I probably would have messed up the spur gear on that. So those are the things they're talking about. There's not an expectation of you to invest another $30 to make the car go fast. The car has the potential to go fast, but it's potential. It's not right out of the box. So there's some onus on the owner to do the things that the car needs done to make it go the best around the owner's track. I guess that's all I'm saying. If that was too much, I apologize, Patrick. Yes, whoever wants to send one in reply to me on the forum. Okay, cool, George. Jeff G, what is the weight of that Group 2? And let me find my scale. Okay, the weight of the Group 2. I've got cars everywhere now. Let's make some room. Group 2 car. And body. Like every Revo slot, it's heavy. That car's 82 grams. 82 grams. Compared to a regular Revo slot, which is 113 grams. 82 grams is more than my Thunder Slot Can-Am. My Olive Garden MR slot car is 84 grams. My Sideways is 85 grams. So that little car weighs as much as this car. That's awesome. Let's see, my slotted, my fat turbo is 72 grams. So this little car weighs more than this car by 10 grams. 82 grams. Yep. So there you go. There's your answer. Let's see here. Hey, Ives. What's up? Yeah, no worries, man. We're running late tonight anyway. Frank and I were running them last week. He loved them. The Group 2 cars? Yeah, I think so too. I think I'm going to enjoy it once we get them tuned up. Dusty's got one, and John Mark's got one. Yeah, Dusty picked what we got one. He got one too this weekend, so it'll be fun. Hey, Raul, thanks for jumping in late, bro. Just got back from school. Awesome. Let's see. Just like the cars you buy in real life, assembly line. Yeah, sometimes things happen. And I think that that doesn't make it a bad brand, because I had to do some work to it. I expected that. So, yeah, that's it. They don't know if they're running on plastic or wood, so they can't set them up to suit everyone. Plus, your driving style can determine a lot how you set up. Daryl, that's a great comment. They don't know where it's going, right? So they just probably have, these are the standards. We put the wheels on, we put the tires on, we line it up and tighten the motor pod, and this is what it is. But it may be awesome on your track, but more than likely you're probably going to have to do some tweaks. So don't be afraid of it. It's a hobby. If you are a slot car hobbyist, that is a very minor thing, and you should be able to fix it. Right. And if you don't know how to fix it, that's why we have these live streams. Like last night, Raul's live stream at Conquest with George. Awesome information there. And then here in the live chat for Two Lines, we solve a lot of the slot car world's problems and probably create a lot more than we solve. But like, this is a great place to find out. If you bought this car and you didn't know how to make it run, there's places out there to find out. Home Racing World, George has videos. I have videos. Raul has videos. Dave Kennedy has videos. Harry Wise has videos. There's so many content creators out there creating great videos. DNA, Curvy. Some people have Instagram accounts that they post things on. There's just so much information out there. Don't be afraid to. It's not very hard to find. Google is your friend. YouTube search tool is your friend. Let's see. Racktop, you don't have to spend more money. Most higher end offerings, they are just hobbyists, and they should have gone through and just tuned a bit. Yep, perfect. So yes, that is light for a Revo though. Yeah, I mean, but compare the size of this Group 2 Revo, Jeff. I've got the body off both of them, but I mean, this is a normal size Revo, 1/32 scale. These things are little, probably still to scale, but they're little. So they are heavy, but I think they're going to be a blast. I can't wait to get this thing tuned up. So probably do a video on it this weekend. I've got a whole list of videos that I'm trying to work on, and but that one sounds like fun, so I may jump on that this week. So the Thunder Slot is a light one. Yep, it's a light car. 90s is heavy for my track. 70 plus is around perfect. Yep. Yeah, Pat, I figured you did. I figured you probably tuned all. You do a once over on all of your cars as you get them. I have to get the track a couple hours early because everyone wants to work on their cars. That's right. Daryl is the master tuner. He's out there helping everybody. Lots of people went fast on Saturday because of Daryl. Just so you know, some of his cars were quick cars out there, and Greg was fast. He can deny it, but Greg was fast. Most of the Revos are close to 100 grams or more. Yeah, mine was 113, my Ferrari, and it's a great running car. I think my Porsche is a little lighter. It's about 108, I think. Group 2 cars are Revos on a diet. They're a blast to drive, especially when you have more than one run against each other. Mark, that's the plan. We have 3 of them now, and we're going to get them tuned up, and it'll be one of the next classes we race on when we do some racing for the live stream. So, Shotgun Dave, what's up, bro? We were just talking about your midget. That thing was beautiful. Good work, bro. Good work. Daniel, slot it. Do a previous video of their cars and how to tune them so help is out there. Yeah, Maurizio does some videos when they release cars. There's a lot of information out there. I installed my track in my living room. Sadly, I needed to remove it. It was great. That's why I took over my basement. I didn't want to have to tear my track down all the time. But sometimes it's the only place you have, right? So you've got to set it up and tear it down, set it up, tear it down. Sorry, Pat. It's all good, man. Yes, yeah, we've all done that. I helped Daryl's rocket car. Yes, I'm really curious to see that. So Daryl's rocket car was one of the cars that I ran on my track that burn up my Texlon box. The car was pulling some amps, and the Carrera chips did not like it. Gene, I gave an update earlier in the live stream. We did great. We had fun, but we didn't win. Not even close. But we had fun. And we learned a lot. We learned that we're slow and we come out of the slot too much. The most extra money I spend is just tires and, yes, calipers. I know how to use them. The chrome bullet. I want to know when you get it back to a plastic track how it does. Greg made your fast car even faster. It's all right, Daryl. Not a big deal. I just threw another chip in and we were golden. Not a big deal. Well, here's the thing. We were running that car and the Honda Civic at the same time. That may have been part of it. Nice. Building the track in your garage. Fantastic. So then you don't have to tear it down. That's the way to go. That is the way to go. So, guys, we didn't get into much tonight. We did talk about the race. We did talk about a lot of things, and we talked about this cool little Revo Group 2 car. I want to wrap things up, mainly because I'm tired. My legs are on fire, and I'm about ready for bed. So we'll start to wrap things up. Any more questions out there? Pat says, the living room, slot car room is small. I'm taking over the house garage next and move the track out there. That's cool. Here's the midget thread. Awesome. Thanks, George. So any of you want to do George's midget build, it will be a proxy at the hangar. And this may end up being my first scratch build car, George, because I really want to jump in here with you. That's important to me. So that's what I'm going to work on. So here's the link. If anybody else is interested, go out there and check it out. Read up on it. Yeah, Daryl, you're right. The 2 hot motors were too much. But not anymore. We can handle just about anything with Marty's box, the 2 lines box, whatever it's called. So, and those of you who have Omni slot boxes out there, you can run just about any car you want on your track. It's pretty cool. Oh, John, gosh, how could I forget? Probably because I haven't had any in 3 days, so I need coffee. I will have coffee in the morning. Yeah, don't forget about our buddies at Rost. Trent sent out some coffee this past week. I appreciate him. He's a good dude, and we'll take care of him. So yeah, coffee. Let me know if you want some coffee. I sent out Gary Dunmore. You won the coffee last week. Get a hold of me. Give me your address if you're still online here, and I'll send you coffee. And then Jeff D, he won coffee the week before. So yeah, we'll send some coffee out. Motor brackets from the midgets available at Slot Car Corner. Fit the motor in the midget body. Awesome. Yeah, Scott, anytime, man. Happy to help. Good night, wild man. So, guys, I'm going to wrap things up. Use 2 lines. If you go to roastcoffee.com and you've never ordered before, and you get 25% off your first order. It's great coffee. It's a good cause. My buddy Trent's a great dude and supports the channel. I appreciate him very much. George says that the motor brackets for the midgets are available at Slot Car Corner. Head Rasta 17, which is our buddy from Cincy Slots, Scott. He says thanks for answering all of his questions tonight, and that's what this is about. That's why it was important for me, even though I was late tonight, to jump on here and do the live stream, because one, I look forward to Tuesday nights to hang with you guys and talk slot cars, and I learned so much from the live chat. And had some guys jump on. I had somebody comment about how boring my live chat was. 5 minutes in, no content. They were not happy and they left. And it's all right. Like, I know how important this community is to me, and I know it's important to a lot of you guys as well. And so comments like that, I can just brush off, because I know the truth. I wouldn't have 38 likes, thumbs up on this video. I wouldn't have, I don't know what, how many we have watched. We have 47 people watching right now. So 1 comment versus 47 guys that are here hanging out, having a good time. Yeah, man. No worries. He can say whatever he wants. Good things are happening in this live chat. Good things are happening on this channel. Good things are happening in slot cars in general. Good things are happening on Monday nights with Raul and George and Shotgun Dave and Massimo and Danny. And those are great conversations that we're having. I love it. So, guys, enjoy. I'm going to go get some sleep, get some rest, probably take some ibuprofen so that my legs aren't killing me in the morning. And, yeah, John. Yeah, troll is what that was. Pat, I know. He told me I was boring. I get it. Let them move on. Hope the door hit them on the butt on the way out. And that's where we'll end. Guys, I love you guys. Have a great week. Go have some fun. Just running on your slot car track. You don't even have to go racing to have fun. Enjoy it. Thanks for everybody tuning in. Appreciate you.